Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wicked Case podcast. I'm Cool Kyle, and with me, as always, is my snickery friend, my broski, Rev.
I prefer Reese's to Snickers, my guy.
Snickery. It's because you're over here snickering.
I can't help it. I'm always goofy when we're about to start the
Snicky
show.
with the Snickers.
Don't you have something to say to me that happened earlier this week or last week?
No, I don't. I have nothing.
You have anything to say to me
My mind is blank.
on the show? Like, hey, you just had a birthday. Happy birthday, buddy. Yeah.
I was going to wish you a happy birthday in the show, but now I wasn't going to say nothing. I wasn't going to say it because you brought it up so quickly. No,
Thought
not
we'd
gonna say it.
open with it. I thought people who were only going to listen to the first 5 minutes of the show.
You didn't even give me time. You didn't give me time to process.
I need to give you time. You're the only.
I was doing my intro, man.
Do you really want to hurt me? Do you really want to make me cry?
What?
From a song. You listen to so much 80s, but you're just stuck in like 80s Joel and Neil Diamond. You got to branch out to like other stuff.
What stuff are you referring to?
I don't know. It was from The Wedding Singer. I forgot who even sings the song. But Alexis Arquette does the song. And it's the only one that she knows when they're doing the wedding singing. And she's like, she give me time. And she does it. And then they finish the song. And then she does it again. And then the crowd turns on her because that's the only song she knows.
Never
Go
watched.
Of course you've never seen The Wedding Singer. Of course. Of course you haven't. Of course you haven't.
I have not.
It's an Adam Sandler classic, man.
Yeah, I know, but there's a lot of things I
I
haven't
can
seen.
understand if you didn't see a Will Ferrell movie because, as you said, Chef hates Will Ferrell. But come on now.
Yeah,
All right,
well, I know.
I will be the bigger person, even though I'm smaller and shorter than you. All right, listen. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have jumped the gun.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know you said you do have a present for me that I probably won't get now because I opened my mouth.
No,
I'm
you'll
sorry.
still get it.
I'm sorry.
You still
I'm
get
sorry.
it.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm very excited about today. We're back here doing the show. We didn't get a chance to get together last week because
Of everything going on.
holidays.
Holidays. Yes.
I will start off the top of the show by saying this. Suck it, Ohio State. Suck it long and suck it hard. I should have kept all that stuff in. You took it all out for me because I was like, I don't want to talk my shit and run my mouth, and then it all goes sour. Boy, it went sour, but it went sour for Ohio State.
Yeah.
But the thing that aggravates me, and I know you don't watch a lot of college football.
I do not.
So Ohio State's got the one loss, right? And they can still make it into the top 4 to play for a national championship, even though they got bodied at home by 20-plus points by the number 2, potentially maybe number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is fair. So Ohio State gets to sit around on the sidelines and eat their popcorn and watch from home while Michigan's playing for a Big Ten championship today. Or, I guess, Saturday, whenever this comes out. It already happened. They probably already won and beat Purdue, so it's whatever. And then they'll be like, oh, because, USC lost, now you get to sneak in and play. You don't belong there. You don't belong there. You got beat by 20 points at home. I don't care if it was the number 2 or number 10 team. You got fucked up.
True.
You have no business being in here. Goodbye. TCU needs to win. If TCU wins, there's going to be a lot of debate. When there's 12 teams in a couple of years, it'll make things a lot easier.
How many are there right now?
Only 4, but you have to pick So right now you've got, at the time of this recording, Georgia, TCU, which is Texas Christian University, and Michigan are all undefeated. If they all win their conference championship games, those 3 teams should be in no problem. Now the 4th team is a wild card. Do you throw in a 1-loss Ohio State team that lost by 20 points at home? Do you throw in a 2-loss Alabama team who lost by, I think a combined total of 3 or 4 points, and both plays were on the last play of the game? And then you got to look at strength of schedule, and the committee always has a hard-on for Alabama because they look at, fans and ratings and stuff and what's going to be a better matchup, and they'll get the matchups that they want. Colin and I, shout out to you, Colin, one of our favorite listeners. Yeah, him and I were talking about it yesterday because he's like, you could have a potential thing where, let's say they move Michigan to number 1 and they play Alabama, who's a 4, and then Georgia's the 2 and they play Ohio State, who's the 3. So then you'll have a chance to have Alabama, Georgia, or Michigan and Ohio State. Granted, Alabama and Ohio State aren't even playing for their conference championships, so they have no business being there.
Yeah.
I say we just get rid of the college football 4 and just let Michigan play Georgia in a best of 3, and whoever wins wins.
Mm-hmm. See, I don't know much about
They're the best
college football, so
well, I'm trying to get you there. If I could, you're right now at like, I'd say like a D-. You're not at an F because you do know some stuff.
I understand the fundamentals of football because I do appreciate the NFL.
I'm gonna try to get you up to like a C, just a C, just right in the middle. Like you know enough where if someone started a conversation about it and they were like, "Oh, what do you know about college football?" You could be like, "Oh, this, and this." You may not know the players specifically and who's gonna win the Heisman Trophy for best college football player in the country, but you'll know the basics. You'll know the teams you need to know. You'll know how it works.
Okay, I mean,
and then it's going to change in a couple years when they go to the 12-team format, which is going to suck.
Yeah.
Actually, it won't suck. It'll be good. It'll just be a change, and there'll always be people complaining about, "Oh, I should be in there. I'm number 13. Well, sorry, you're 13, not 12. So, and they're getting rid of conference championships, which kind of sucks too, but
yeah,
they're making super conferences now. They're putting teams that have no business being in regions. Like, the Big Ten is comprised of schools that are all in like the upper Midwest. Your Minnesota's, Wisconsin's, Penn State's, Indiana's, Michigan State, Iowa, Northwestern, Indiana, and Rutgers, Nebraska, and I apologize to the last team I'm forgetting. Purdue? Yeah, I'm missing Purdue, the team we're playing today.
Ah.
But now you're going to add in USC and UCLA. That is not even close on the map. You could put UConn in instead. At least it's somewhat closer.
That's true.
Two teams from Southern California gonna go play teams that are playing in like 20 degree weather where it's snowing and windy and rainy. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
So
that would be rough.
But we're not making this a college football show because we have a whole bunch of random shit to talk about. And the
first
thing.
By the way, happy birthday.
Ooh.
And
thank you, bitch.
I got something for you.
You have something for me? It better not be a troll job. I got trolled hard enough on my birthday.
Not a troll job.
All right.
Here you go.
Yeah. Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
So for all the listeners out there, I got him a triple pop.
New World Order. With Hogan, Hall, and Nash, the original 3. Which actually, this is perfect because it'll segue into what I want to talk about. 2 quick wrestling things. We'll get those out of the way. And then we'll talk about my birthday shenanigans and then how our Thanksgivings and stuff were.
Okay, cool.
So this actually worked perfectly. So nicely done. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, brother.
All right, we're gonna put this right over here, and we're just gonna leave it with the rest of the aesthetic.
Okay.
You've got a creepy Bruins knockoff elf on a shelf staring at me, and
my wife hates it, and she told me to take it away, so I put it in here. I don't know where I got it from. I don't know.
I gave it to you.
Oh, you gave it to me.
I gave it to you because I got it as a present for my kids, and I was like, my daughter's not going to like this. And I was just like, I'm just going to give this to you. You can do what you want with it. And
my wife hates it, so I put it in here for the show.
Good. That's good. Your wife hates it, huh? That's good to know.
Yeah.
All right, nice. All right.
Yeah. Keep that in mind for when you want to play a prank.
No, I'm not playing pranks no more. Because if I know if I mess with her, I'm gonna get messed with twice as hard, and I'm gonna be pissed about it. She already called the truce that she wasn't gonna shoot me no more with any more Nerf guns.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut and not say anything stupid, and I'll just be in her good. And and then her and I's new thing is we bag on you. So if you say something and then it's negative towards her, I'll say, "Yeah, Kyle, why don't you support your wife?" And you're like, "I do support my wife. You're supposed to be my best friend. You're supposed to be on my side." I said, I'm not picking sides. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Just setting me up and then...
Listen, not when she's in the room, but when she's not in the room. Bros before hoes. Just saying. Just saying. So I watched, speaking of the NWO, I watched the Scott Hall documentary. Have you seen it?
Not yet.
Living on Razor's Edge. It's on Peacock if you want to go find it on Peacock.
Okay.
It's very good. Basically just talks about how he started out in... how he wanted to be a wrestler, went to the AWA, WCW, AWA, then WWF, or E now, then WCW, and then had his whole fall from grace where he, got into prescription drugs and alcohol, and he was in a downward spiral, and it took DDP and Jake Roberts to help him get back to where he was, and then obviously he recently died, so.
Yeah.
But I guess
I notice a lot of wrestlers go through that.
Well, he described it perfectly. Nothing can compare to the high He's like, when I'm me, it's one thing, but when I'm out there in front of the camera, in front of the crowds and the TV and everything, I'm Razor Ramon. I'm a completely different person, and I'm in control of the situation. I get to do whatever I want. And he said, when you have a high like that, and the crowd's cheering, you're in this famous ladder match people are still talking about, or all that stuff, and then you get like back, you're trying to find something quick to like keep the high going. And what do? You do drugs and alcohol and stuff, and that keeps the high there for the time being, so you don't drop and plummet down, and then you go back out the next night. But then what happens after wrestling? And that's where the problem lies. Some people like The Rock and some people like Cena and Batista have been able to transition into acting, so that helps. And then people like Triple H have been able to do backstage stuff, and other people have found other things. But it's the same thing with any sport. When an NFL athlete retires, some of them have saved up their money and they're able to live their own lives with their families, and they don't do anything else. And other people like Michael Strahan or Randy Moss, they get television jobs or whatever, and they just keep going. Tom Brady Tom Brady has a contract ready to go for like $300 million to go be the lead analyst for Fox when he decides to finally hang it up. So that's, I have $300 million waiting for me when I'm done. So instead of getting hit on the turf and being cold and practicing, I just have to show up in my nicest outfit or whatever, in a suit and tie.
But I will say, I think Brady would rather be out there on the field.
I heard rumors he could come back. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, as
never say never.
I
don't think it's going to happen. I would probably give it maybe a 10 to 20% chance, but still a chance.
Yeah, we've learned one thing in wrestling: you never say never. Anybody could come back.
Of course.
Same thing with.
So I know we've talked about this before, and I'll bring it up again. So in all the time that Scott Hall was in all the different wrestling companies, never won a world championship. Very underrated. Did not. I knew that, and I was like, that's surprising, because he was the first WWE guy to really outside of Hogan, to make a big jump and an impact. I guess Hogan and Savage were there. But, I mean, he made the jump, and everybody thought it was him and Nash invading and blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows the story of the NWO. But Hogan won a title who was part of the NWO, and Bret Hart was part of the NWO, and he won. And Sting, I know he won, and Nash won a bunch. Why didn't Hall? Did Hall just choose not to? Because Hall had said in the documentary that he wanted to improve his spot in the company with WWF, and Vince said he couldn't do that, and Vince didn't blame Hall for leaving because Hall was getting guaranteed money from WCW to work less days. So, and Vince had said, it's not his fault, it's my fault. I should have, he wanted to stay. Him and Nash wanted to stay, which if those two stay, who knows what the trajectory of WCW and WWE are.
It might have been a little different.
It might have been very different, because you would have had 2 extra spots, and maybe you're not having a Monday Night War, or the war goes different.
Yeah, I mean...
But he had to do what was best for his family, but I'm just surprised in the entire time he was there. Even, there are people who, David Arquette had a title reign for, a week. You're telling me Scott Hall couldn't have had a title reign, a world title reign for a couple weeks? And then just drop it and be done with it? At least you have one on your resume. I mean, he's one of the more decorated Intercontinental Champions of all time.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been nice to see, but I mean, like you said, there could have been a ton of factors as to why that happened.
It could be, yeah. There is also a moment in there that it's at the very beginning of the documentary that I'm not going to spoil for you, but I did not know this, and it's very shocking when you see it. I won't ruin it though for you.
Okay.
But it's pre-wrestling stuff, and
you learned some interesting facts.
Yeah, let's just say...
I mean, you could tell me. I mean, I probably won't see it, to be honest.
So, he kind of murdered somebody, but it was in self-defense.
Oh, wow.
And it took him a long time to get over it, because he was a bouncer at a popular nightclub in Orlando, and was seeing a girl who was at the nightclub. But she, I guess, was involved with another guy, and the guy was one of the managers, and he was waiting for Hall to show up one night. And he was outside in the parking lot when Hall showed up, and he pulled the gun, and the 2 guys struggled. And Hall said that he wanted to take the gun and he wanted to pistol whip him. But the gun ended up going off, and he said the fucking bullet went through the back of his head. Fucking blood all over the place.
Holy crap.
And he got arrested for second-degree murder, but then all the charges were dropped because it was turning out that, he was in self-defense.
Yeah,
and he said it was an accident. He told everyone what happened, and he said he lived with it for 30 years and he always blames himself for it. And
Couldn't even imagine.
his therapist told him to go back. Towards the end of the documentary, his therapist tells him to go back to the spot that it happened. I think it's called like Dolls or something like that in Orlando. And he got chills and started to break down. And he was just like, my therapist thinks it's a good idea to come here. And people tell me that, it's not your fault. Like, you have to remember, like, he was trying to kill you. Like, he died instead of you, but ultimately his goal was to kill you and her.
Yeah.
So,
and that's...
You did it unintentionally, but you saved her life and your life because you killed him instead, even though you were trying to just pistol whip him and,
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like, people don't realize in that sort of situation, what would you do? It's like you have somebody trying to kill you.
Exactly. Well, he also had, he gave some pretty good advice, like, don't try to get with drugs and alcohol. Like, he said straight up, does it help you? Sure, it helps you to cope, but it's not the way to go. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
And he said, if you've got something holding inside for, like, as long as I did, like, don't hold it in. Like, go talk to somebody about it. He goes, I have this burden on my shoulders for 30 years. And I held into it, and I always thought that I was a terrible person because of what I did. But, like, again, he didn't do it on purpose. Like, in him, he didn't have any problem with this guy. The guy had a problem with him, and he was minding his own business. He literally just showed up to work. That'd be like if you showed up to work and someone was waiting outside for you, trying to kill you. Like,
it's happened. I won't say any situations, but I worked at a place one time where a woman's husband thought I was a supervisor.
You told me about that.
Yeah. And the husband thought I was sleeping with her, even though I was definitely not. And it's like, I'm just her supervisor, but he showed up at the place to try to confront me, come after me, and security had to take him away. It's like, it's a very scary situation.
It can be.
And it's like, you can't blame him for defending himself,
or defending his girl. I get it.
Yeah, if it's my life versus somebody else, I'm no disrespect, but I'm choosing my life every time. Like, I'm not, like, if somebody's coming to kill me, nope, sorry.
Listen, people have been saying it time and time again. Settle it with fists, don't settle it with guns.
Yeah.
Good old glove slap never hurt anybody. I challenge ye to a duel.
Yeah.
Smack.
Speaking of duels, I heard I think it's in Texas, that if you challenge somebody to mutual combat, that you can just fight and you won't get in trouble.
Oh, nice.
So it's like if two people decide, like if I said to you, we were in Texas, and I said, you know what, let's take this outside. And you're like, okay, fine, let's fight. The cops couldn't arrest you or anything like that. They couldn't stop it. Nothing. Because it's mutual combat.
Okay.
So
that's Texas for you. They have their own brand of justice down there, and I respect it. The other wrestling thing we want to talk about quickly, because it's a current topic, and it's going to be probably a hot topic trending because of what's coming up soon, which is the Royal Rumble, which is, do you think that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, the great one, the people's champ, the eyebrow-raising, trail-blazing, heart-stomping, kiss-ass motherfucker, whatever the thing goes.
Yeah.
Do you know the thing? Eyebrow-raising, trail-blazing, and he always just changes it.
Yeah, he changes it usually every time.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the most electrifying man.
Right, whatever. Do you think he should win the Royal Rumble? I don't. I don't think he should. And my reasoning behind it is, why? Why do you need him to win the Royal Rumble? I understand the pop, and I understand that, but it's just one of those things where the fans are like, really? Like, you can have the Roman Rock match and not have him win the Royal Rumble. Have him be in the Royal Rumble as a surprise entrant. Make sure nobody knows about it. Nobody. Like, no insiders, nothing. Similar to how, like, an Edge thing or something happened where you didn't know the... Like, if you have, like, number 27 come out and if you smell... Oh, holy shit. The fucking building would... The roof would come off.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
The roof would come off. And then what you do is, towards the end of the match, maybe you've got Bloodline members already in the match, or maybe you've got Roman Reigns that comes out, or whatever, towards the end of the night, and somehow The Rock gets eliminated because of that, and Roman costs The Rock. Maybe Roman gets into the Rumble, spears The Rock or whatever, and then someone comes in and throws The Rock out. You don't even need him to be in the Royal Rumble. You can already... Because of who The Rock is, where his status is, and because of the whole, Samoan history, you don't need it. And you're taking it away from somebody else.
I mean, I agree with you in that sense. I will say, obviously, I would like to see The Rock, come back in some capacity. I mean, that would be really cool.
I have no problem. Like I said, I have
Yeah.
no problem with him being in the Rumble, but have him be thrown out by somebody from the Bloodline. Have him be thrown out by Roman or beaten up by Roman. So then that sets the seeds for Roman Rock at WrestleMania. Everybody's talking about
Well,
it.
the only thing is that the winner of the Royal Rumble gets a shot at the champion at WrestleMania, right?
Right.
So here's my thought process. What happens if it was kind of a scenario like how Brock Lesnar did, where he said, I'm going to defend my title at the Royal Rumble? What if Roman decided to do that? And Rock came in and eliminated Roman and then got eliminated himself. So that way, because like you said, Roman doesn't need the championship at WrestleMania to face The Rock.
No, that's true.
So what if it's that sort of scenario where we crown a new champion?
They're not going to do that. It's been, if you think about it, last time when they did it the first time, it was in '92, and they waited almost 20 years till they did over 20 years till they did it again, and and of course Roman did it again. Now, I honestly don't think he's going to be in the Royal Rumble. I think it's going to be a setup where like Roman goes on this rant where he's going to be like, oh, I can beat anybody and nobody's been able to beat me and I'm the head of the table and I'm the true this and that. And then The Rock's just like, whoa, jabroni. Listen, you might be the head of the table. You might be the tribal chief, but I'm the people's champ. And at WrestleMania, I'm going to lay smack down on your candy ass if you smell what The Rock is cooking. And that could also lead to dissension between the family. Do you take The Rock side or do you take Roman's side?
Yeah. I mean, but during this whole scenario, does Roman still hold the title?
Yes. Now, what I'm thinking with that is maybe Sami Zayn wins the Royal Rumble. And now you've got The Rock, Sami Zayn, and Roman in a triple threat match for the title.
Oh, my God. But Sami's already proven himself to Roman. He would lay down for him.
I know that, but do you think The Rock's going to allow that to happen? Do you think The Rock has a chance at a title? He's going to allow that? Because I feel like in this situation, if it is a triple threat match, whoever that third man is going to be the fall guy. Roman's not taking the fall, and Rock's not taking the fall, I don't think. I think it's going to be... The question is how long do you run with it? How long do you let Roman keep the title? Because obviously, you don't want to get into WrestleMania with like the same expectation you had for years where it was like, oh, Undertaker's fighting Batista for the world title. Gee, I wonder who's winning that one. He's not going to lose. He's undefeated. Once he lost, it changed everything. But like, do you go into the paper to WrestleMania or whatever saying, oh, well, The Rock's going to for sure beat Roman because Roman's taking vacation time? That is the one thing I don't like about insiders or all these spoilers where you know stuff ahead of time. Like, yeah. I like the fact of like, oh, how is it going to go? Like, you don't really know. So yeah. I don't know any other people that could potentially be that third person to win the Rumble. I don't know what their plans are.
I mean, there's a couple of people that I could see winning the Rumble.
It would honestly work out better if Roman didn't have both titles and lost one of them, like I thought he should have to Drew at Clash of the Castle. So then that way, Roman and The Rock can do their own thing. He has the title or whatever. But now the person who has the other title has to fight the person from WrestleMania. I mean, from Royal Rumble that wins the gold. That makes more sense to me. But it seems like if Roman's going to have both titles, like I said, and would Triple H have The Rock do that in Triple H's regime? I could see Vince doing that, of course. Oh, Rock, big buddy, pal. Ha, ha, ha. But, Triple H just brought back Tegan Knox, for Christ's sake.
I mean, yeah, Triple H.
SmackDown Friday night.
Yeah,
so he's bringing back all these, these people that he helped groom in NXT and made them superstars. And I mean, hell, Braun Breaker could be in the fucking match. You could have Braun Breaker, Roman Reigns, and The Rock, which would be a great match. Because that wild card right there, Braun Breaker, is because people have said, oh, Braun's going to be the guy that's going to take out, Roman Reigns, which he could be. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I think that's really exciting right now in the WWE is there's so many possibilities, and you don't know. Like when it was Vince, you kind of could predict it, to a degree.
Well, yeah, and I don't see the crowd turning on The Rock if he won the Rumble, but it would kind of be an eye roll, like we didn't need this. Like you could have given it to somebody else. Like
my only thing with giving it to somebody else is that, like you said, then it presents a triple threat. I mean, has it happened before? Yeah, there's been plenty of instances where there's been triple threats.
They had the stupid decision of in WrestleMania 10 in '94, when they determined that Luger and Bret Hart were co-winners of the Royal Rumble the first time that happened, the only time that's happened, that Yokozuna would fight early in WrestleMania to against Luger, and there was I think Mr. Perfect was the guest referee for that match, and Yokozuna won. And then later that night, Yokozuna fought Bret Hart the last match, and I think Piper was the referee, and Bret won that match to win the title. But Bret also had the first match. So Bret had 2 matches and Yoko had 2 matches. Why the WWF at the time didn't just go, let's just have a triple threat match between Bret Hart, Lex Luger, and Yokozuna, and let, Hart pin Yoko or Hart pin Luger and be done with it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that would have been a much better match than have, we're going to have a match with you now, and because Luger won the coin flip, he get... Like, what? No.
Yeah, that is a little weird.
That's mid-'90s wrestling for you. It's a bad time. You don't want to be a part of it. It is one of the darker periods. It's one of the darker periods in wrestling history for both WCW and WWE. I will say for WCW, the wrestling, or at least the talent, seemed to be better if you go back to like mid-'90s WWE or WCW. Yeah. But the whole product as a whole, like, there was a downtime, which is why they had a boom period. Because you had your boom from the mid to late 80s to early 90s, then mid 90s from 94 to 96 is where it kind of was like, ugh. Yeah. Especially 95. 95 was the worst time for WWF. And then in 97, the Attitude Era, and it kind of rocketed itself up. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you in that sense. There's, especially, I mean, going back to the whole idea of the lull that we were kind of in, we were in a lull for a little bit in WWE just recently. And no disrespect to Vince McMahon, he put in a lot to the business, but now that Triple H has been in this position, there has been a huge amount of change.
Well, it's basically like you just keep doing the same thing, like, okay, pal, just do this, this, and this, and all these stories about Vince deciding to rip up the script last minute and all this stuff, and like if you're that upset about it, then fucking write the show yourself, guy. Like, I know you've got 30,000 other hats that you're wearing, and that's great. Or if you don't like who's writing the script, then fire these people and find competent folks who can write scripts for you. I see plenty of people out on YouTube who are dedicated wrestling fans and wrestling insiders who have done a great job of booking storylines and stuff and know what they're doing. Or at least it seems like they know what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of creative minds out there,
People are upset right now that they think that, Johnny Gargano's getting buried by, Triple H. And maybe that's the case. I don't know.
But they also said that about Austin Theory, and now he's the United States champion.
That was true. Yeah, nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
Oh, if I wouldn't have changed, I would be the champion right now. I should have known they weren't going to have two-face teams win on the same night. I knew better.
Yeah. Hey, it's all right. It's...
So, all right, so... We'll talk more about the Rock thing, obviously, as we get closer and closer to Rumble. It's only a month away now, so...
Wow.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's rewind to last week, and let's start off by saying, how was your holiday? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. It was busy, but it was good.
It's always busy when you have to see multiple families. Trust me, I know how that goes.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for years, man. I've been doing it for years.
Yeah. No, it was good though. We me and my dad, we went over to the
legend.
Yeah.
Our dad.
Yeah. We went over to the DeStefano side, and had Thanksgiving over there, and
there you go.
That was good. And then went over to my in-laws afterwards.
Chef side.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Did you see Baby Saul?
I did see Baby Saul. For those of you that don't know, I have a new nephew. His name's Saul. He was born on the 18th. And he's very cute. Very small.
Do you know weights and heights and anything, or not really?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. I could probably ask, but...
It's okay.
Never asked. I just got to hold the baby.
Just gonna go on record. Your sister is hot. I'm just gonna say. I'm just gonna get it out. I like the shake of his head.
Not on air, man.
It's there now. I didn't say anything else. Fine. She is a pretty young woman. She's very attractive.
Thank you.
Okay. I didn't say anything else. I just said she was hot. That's all I said. It's gonna make Colin laugh. He's gonna be like, "That's hilarious." I didn't even say names. I just said your sister was hot. I didn't even know you had a sister until I came over to your house the first time.
I think you're just digging yourself into a deeper hole, my boy.
She doesn't even listen to the show.
Not her.
Who's going to listen to the show that's going to give me shit?
I don't know.
Nobody.
I'm just saying.
We're going to be talking about stuff that get me a lot more shit than this, so.
Like what?
My birthday shenanigans.
All right, let's talk about the birthday
I
shenanigans.
had to give my mom a heads up about it before she disowned me when I talked about what I'm going to talk about.
Let's hear about that. I'm interested about that.
Well, first off, my Thanksgiving was good, too. Thank you for asking. I got to be the designated driver to 3 drunks after the Patriots and Vikings game, and 2 of them don't remember even getting home. One of them had to check the score the next day to see if the Patriots won, and the other one was just kind of a slobbery mess. Shout out to you, Rhino. That was fun. That was great. Yeah. A lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun. Good times with friends. And then I went with the kids on on Black Friday to this place in Rhode Island. I believe it's called Let's Play or Go Play, one of the two. And it's like an indoor playscape kind of thing.
Huh.
You could even go on it.
Oh.
I was on it, so if I was on it, you can go on it.
Nice.
And go through the different like passageways and stuff, and climbing up in the little things with the kids, and going down slides and hanging in with them in the ball pit. It was fun.
Nice.
So it was fun. And then we went to Red Robin for lunch, and then we decided to go to the mall. Why my ex-wife chose us to go to the mall on Black Friday, I will never know. But the kids got to ride the carousel, and then, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But birthday shenanigans. So, yeah, for those of you who don't know, at the top of the show, and now, I had a birthday this past Thursday, and I am now 34 like you, my guy. Shout out to us old men. Too sweet. Yeah, I should have done that with the NWO thing.
Yeah.
I did a high five instead. Whatever.
It's okay.
It's fine. So my morning started off by going to Long Shots for lunch, or my mid-morning. It was like 11 o'clock when they opened or whatever. And then I took my first adventure in my entire life to a gentleman's club, or strip club, whatever you want to call it. I went to the Minx Cabaret in Groton. As it turns out, when you go to the Minx Cabaret at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's not very busy. There was a girl at the bartending. There was a girl bartending. There was one girl dancing. There was one girl who wanted to, but she had to wait to like sign a form or something, so she couldn't even do anything. So she just sat there and wait. And then there was probably maybe 3 or 4 people in there.
Oh,
It was not very busy. It was actually probably the perfect setup and scenario for my first time there, because there wasn't a lot of shit going on.
Yeah, my first time was on a Friday night, and it was wild.
I bet. I bet it was. Apparently, because of inflation, prices have gone up. So how much do you think a dance from a young woman cost?
So let's see. When I got mine, I think it was like 35.
Well, it depends, I guess, where you go to, right? So
yeah, it was like somewhere around the 30s.
All right, mine was 30.
Okay, yeah.
I got 2 of them. They were both 30, and then it was basically you got like $30, and it was like whoever like the song. Like I think it was like a song or a song and a half or whatever it was. I think it depended. Like if it was like a 2-minute song, you'd get like the other half of the other song.
Oh yeah.
Because I was gonna be like, oh, if it's by the song, Freebird. Let me hear some 10-minute extended version of Freebird, and just don't stop playing it. Let it play on loop.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because they're very particular about
Can you play Mozart just consecutively and just let them flow into each other? You won't even know when the song ends.
You know, it's at 1 o'clock. You know, like
I will say I had which I think is really funny. The second time that I got my dance or whatever, a song came on that I would not have associated that should have been playing in a club, and I don't know how I feel about it. Do you know what song that is?
I could just see it coming over the intercom. Mickey, and you're like,
no, wait. I'll tell you this. It's in that realm.
Moana?
No, Life is a Highway.
Ah.
Life is a Highway. I hear the and I think it was the Rascal Flatts version.
Oh,
and I'm
geez.
like, my son loves cars. What are you doing to me? I can't think about anything else now except for the fact that Lightning McQueen's like driving to California. Oh, for God's sake.
Just drive my stick shift.
She did not take a ride on my disco stick. No, that
wow.
didn't happen. So she was a nice young lady. Do you want to take a guess of what her name was? I will give you this. It is a type of herb.
certain type of herb,
Yeah, like a
marijuana.
herb. Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, it's Eddie's favorite one, or one of his favorites.
Purple rain, purple kush.
No.
It's
a type of strain or something.
Oh, indica.
No.
Sativa.
Nicely done. Sativa.
Okay.
So she was my first. Shout out to you, Sativa. Shout out to Rhino. And shout out to you too, Pierce. You cocksucker, you. Fucking Buffalo Bills fan. Let's get him out of the way before we get to the dancing stuff.
Oh, okay.
Wait. He's a Bills fan. So Patriots, Bills, whatever. Game was on my birthday. He got me a birthday cake, which was nice. But he had like a picture printed on top that he printed himself. And it was a picture as like a... what am I trying to say? It was a Photoshop image, and it was me like as the Patriots logo, and then there was a black individual behind me. I don't know if it was a player or what it was, but they had like a Bills hat or whatever on. And
they didn't explain it to you?
They did, but I was not in the mood because I was like, "Fuck you," whatever. Like. And then he also decided to get me, and Colin's gonna laugh at this. He got me a manila folder. And it said hopes and dreams on it. And when you opened it up, there was about a dozen or so fucking applications for jobs in there. Forever 21 was in there. Subway was in there. Kmart was in there. Toys R Us was in there.
Toys R Us, wow.
Kmart and Toys R Us aren't even fucking open anymore, I don't think. So.
But they were like, what obscure place can we find on the internet?
Oh, he printed all these job applications off at work while he was just doing nothing with his fucking time because he's a loser. Fuck you, Pierce. But yeah, so that was that. Then the applications are currently in my car, and then everybody, of course, is like, "Oh, you're gonna fill those out?" And I was like, "No, I'm gonna fucking wipe my ass or piss all over them." Like, fuck you guys, get out of here, fucking douchebags. Walmart was in there. Everything.
Oh, jeez.
So that brought my mood down.
Yeah.
But let's get back to the fun stuff. So
okay.
I'm gonna try to keep this PG. My mom told me, please keep it PG, but she's like 300 episodes behind, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything too risque that happened. I got a lap dance. The girl took off her top. I fondled some. I was told, you can touch me, but respectively. So I did.
Yeah.
There were hands on boobies.
Yeah.
That's all. That was it. There were hands on boobies. She grounded on me a couple times. You know, we talked and kind of just, you know, I asked her how long she'd been doing it for, and she said she was going to be a nurse and all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. That was all it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I do have this, though, that the bartender gave to us. And there's one for you, and there's one for me. And this is a VIP thing, so if you want to go in 2 weeks, I'm just saying, we could go. Because I know you were bummed that we didn't get to go.
If my wife says it's okay.
I'm just saying, it's on a Friday, though, I think, so you'd have to work that Saturday. But we could go as a VIP guest of Kendra. Shout out to Kendra, the bartender. There you go. I was hoping there were going to be other girls that were there. There was not. Just
on a Friday night, it's going to be a little busier.
Well, Friday it's going to be busy. You're right, and I could have been busy on a Thursday, but Thursday afternoon at 1:00, not busy at all.
Yeah,
which is kind of nice though, because now they're coming over to you because there's not as many people to talk to.
Yeah, so I mean, well, granted, on Friday when I was there, they were very. I think the problem is they always are looking for the next person who's going to give them money. Mm-hmm. So they will still come up to you even on a busy night. Like,
I know that. I know. But I'm just saying it's a lot easier when you're just the only person that's there.
Oh, yeah.
When you're the only person that's there and they're just talking to you. And we actually had a conversation with her and it was fine. I'll tell you more details about what also happened. But
off air.
Right.
Off air.
So I try to keep it as respectful. I thought I did a pretty good job keeping it as respectful as I could.
Yeah. I mean, well, you know,
I mean, obviously, if you say the word lap dance, it wasn't like, oh, she was in her best nightgown and, you know, frilly socks. Like, no, you're going to get what you're... It's kind of self-implied.
Yeah. I mean, it's once you say strip club, you kind of know what that entails.
Right.
You know? So we don't got to go too much into detail.
There wasn't anything else that happened. There wasn't anything else.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem is that the strip clubs get a stereotype that it's like a dirty place or like it's
right.
You know,
which I'm sure there are a lot of places that are probably like that in bigger cities.
Yeah,
you know, probably down in like Orlando or Miami or Tampa New York, California, and probably California for sure.
Yeah.
But, you know.
You go to a decent place, like, because I've been there before, the Minx.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it used to be the Gold Club, I believe it was called. Yeah. I went when it was the Gold Club, and then I went a second time when it was the Minx.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
The girl that I had was nice. I'll give you her measurements when we get off here. I just don't want to say too much about her. That's all. I don't.
know.
I'm trying to keep it,
Respectful. I got you. I
don't want to give out too many things. So.
Yeah. We don't got to talk about it.
No, we'll talk about it plenty after the show.
Oh yeah.
So.
But that's got to be an exciting adventure your first time.
Yeah, it was fine. I did tell her because I didn't really know what to do. Like I was like just sitting there. I was like, I'm gonna be completely honest. Like I don't even know what to do. She's like, don't worry. She's like,
That was what happened to me on my first time too. I told because I gave her the money for the lap dance. She was like, starting to do her thing, and she said, well, how you feeling? Okay? Are you all right? I said, yeah, I'm okay. She goes, your first time? I said, yeah. I said, I don't even know what to do. She goes, don't worry, I got you.
Yeah, it's the same thing she said. Because she, like I said, she sat on my lap or whatever, and she was like, you can touch me if you want, respectively. Because my hands were like this.
Well, yeah, because that's what they tell you is like, don't touch the girls.
Well, yeah, those are all my experiences at Grand Theft Auto when you bring your person in Grand Theft Auto 5 to the strip club, and the person's dancing on you or whatever, and you put your hands on her or whatever, and like the security guard comes, hey, leave your hands off her, and I'm just like,
yeah. Well, and that was funny too because I went with my I had a friend at the time. We went and he got a little not he, but the bouncer got a little lippy with him because he was touching the girl, but my girl let me touch her all over the place.
Yeah. And that's what she said. She was like, as long as you do it respectively, that's fine. And I should have like maybe asked more questions, but I was just like, okay. And I just we talked and
I've come to realize that the less threatening you are at a strip club, the more they're willing to let you do whatever you want.
Oh, I know. And I definitely told her, I was like, I said, I'm probably going to be like the nicest and like most polite person you have like all day. Because I was just, I didn't know what to do. I was trying to be nice. I wasn't.
Yeah, well, because you don't want to, A, you don't want to get thrown out of the club, and B, you don't want to be seen like that creepy dick.
I know. No.
Just be like, hey, can I touch you down the ear?
Oral sessions. Yeah. No.
Where do you live at?
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
She said she worked at a couple other clubs. She said she worked at Minx part-time, so.
Oh,
But she has other clubs she works at. She said she works up in Rhode Island at the Cadillac Lounge, and there was another place that she worked at, too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. They usually tend to travel depending on where the most people are going to be, I know.
She was fine. She was, like I said, we'll talk more about it off air, but she was pretty chill and pretty down to earth, and just like talking to a regular person, just she didn't have her top on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the thing about, like, yet again, about strip clubs is that, like, when I went there was actually a couple groups of, like, boyfriend-girlfriend sort of thing, or, like, husband and wife. Like, women go to the strip club, too. Like,
women, I think women go to strip clubs more than men do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of women say they appreciate the female figure.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make them gay, just...
Well, no, and also, if you think about it, you could also use it as, like, a teaching session for your own relationship, where if you see a girl doing something that maybe your guy likes, and you're comfortable with another girl dancing or grinding on your guy, you go, oh, he likes that. Now I have that in my mind. I have to practice that, and now he'll be,
Yeah. Like,
because if you can do that, it saves you a lot of money.
Yeah.
I will tell you, though, I was told that shots are very expensive. That's the one advantage I would have at a strip club. I don't drink.
Yes.
That's where you get in trouble. Because you can spend just as much, if not more money on drinks than you do for a dance. Case in point, Rhino bought him, Pierce, and the bartender, Kendra. They bought each one of them a shot. How much do you think 3 shots cost? And they were in, like, standard shot glasses or whatever.
What type of shot was it?
I think it was... I think it was whiskey or something.
Okay, so if it was a whiskey shot, I would say maybe about 3 shots, $25, $30.
$36.
$36.
$12 a shot.
Holy shit!
So you figure
that must have been a high end whiskey.
It may not have been whiskey. It may have been something else. I wasn't paying attention to what they were drinking because I was too sidetracked.
Yeah, depends on what type of like alcohol you get.
That's true. So, but you figure 3 shots at $36 for 3 shots, or 3 shots $36 in total. 2 dances that were $60.
The strip clubs get expensive. You got to go with money. You can't go with like $15 in your pocket.
Well, no. Well, the other thing too is you have to go with money, but you have to set like a budget. So let's say theoretically you and I go in the future. Let's say each one of us walked in with like, I don't know, $200 on us. Once the money's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
And you just leave. Thank you. Have a good night.
And honestly, $200 will last you. I mean,
I know it will. It all depends though, because if you're there for, if you want to pay for extra stuff, that's gonna cost. Depending on, because I know some clubs do that.
Yeah.
And it costs, and I don't know. I don't think I would do that.
Usually that's like the extra stuff that's not like normal is usually pretty illegal. They're not technically supposed to allow the extra stuff.
No.
But I mean, usually if you go at 200 and you maybe get a few drinks, like a Jack and Coke or something, and
that's where I have the advantage, because I would just be like, just give me water. Water's free.
Yeah.
And I have $200 to spend on what I'm here for.
Yeah. Did you have, when you went there, was one of the dancers dancing on like the main stage, or was it like
she was the only girl.
Okay.
So she was dancing on the main stage in between, and I will say the funny thing about her is like the DJ kept picking songs. Hey, coming up on the stage, main stage now. And he'd play a song, and she's like, you can't dance to this song. Like, pick something out. This song sucks.
Yeah. It's interesting.
That's funny.
When I went, there was like 8 or 9 girls who would and they would all 3 or 4 of them would be dancing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you get the people with the ones and they start throwing it. That's when it gets pretty wild.
Mm-hmm. No, it was just her.
Oh, okay. All right.
No.
But
they said there was reinforcements coming later, but they didn't know. We didn't know what time, and Rhino had a time schedule, so we couldn't wait. So I was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I actually kind of liked the fact that there was less people. There wasn't as much going on and craziness, and I would have liked to have maybe a different girl, so I could have had a different comparison, but it wasn't that big a deal.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. Like when you have multiple people, you kind of can choose.
Mm-hmm.
You get to be a little choicey with your.
She's like, she comes over to the boys after my first dance. She's like, how many star ratings did she give me? And he was like, he didn't give you a rating at all. And she was like, you didn't give me a rating at all? I said, well, they didn't ask. I said, if you want me to give you a rating, it's 5 stars. It was fine. It was amazing. It was great. Well, Christ, I haven't been able to put my hand on a pair of boobies other than mine in like a year. So what do you expect, dude? Like, of course you're going to get 5 stars.
Yeah,
She was attractive too. She was cute.
Hey, yeah. We'll get the dimensions off air.
So, where are we at?
About 47 minutes.
I mean, is there anything else we need to chat about? I mean, we can cut it short. We have other episodes of stuff we have to do, so.
I'm trying to think.
We don't have to go an hour and 10 every time. So we talked about Thanksgiving. We talked a little sports. I mean, we could talk a little bit more sports. The Patriots are. All right, I know you don't fully get into football as much as I do.
Yeah.
I know the background of all of it. But what do you think right now is the problem with the Patriots offensively? Who do you think is to blame? Do you think it's Mac Jones, or do you think it's Matt Patricia?
To be honest, I think it's Mac.
You think it's Mac?
So if you watch Mac, it doesn't have anything to do. I mean, yes, Patricia has some level in the game, but when you look at Mac in the pocket, he's not comfortable, and he's not getting any more comfortable.
No.
No matter what happens, if you watch him, there's no room for him to pass. Once he gets caught in that pocket, they're sacking him almost every time.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate on you and say that I 100% do not blame Mac at all. I'll give Mac some of the blame, because there is sometimes he's skittish and he holds onto the ball too long, and when he goes to slide, he's not as confident. And maybe that's because of the injury that he suffered earlier this year. I blame Patricia. Matt Patricia, when he was with the Patriots before he went to be the Lions head coach, was a defensive coach. He was not an offensive coach. He should not be our offensive coach. He needs to be fired immediately because he's terrible at his job. Even Mac called him out, and people were saying there's a clip that was posted by a whole bunch of people on Twitter, and he said, we need to pass the fucking ball more. People said that he thought it sounded like, it looked like he said the running game sucks. Other people have said it says the short game sucks. Now, I don't think the running game sucks. The problem is there's no Harris, so you don't have Harris and Stevenson subbing in and out, so you can keep the guys fresh. It's always Stevenson. The Patriots' other problem is when they're behind the chains or behind the sticks, so when they get like a 5-yard, false start or a 10-yard holding call. Now 1st and 10 becomes 1st and 15 or 2nd and 20 or something. Now you're trying to make up for that. So, you don't have to go for the deep throw every time. Do little dinks and dunks. But the problem is, all right, so let's say it's 2nd and 20 now. You run the ball or whatever. You get like 5 yards. Now it's 3rd and 15. And now you're either going to run it and just concede so you don't throw an interception, or you'll throw a pass that gets you 5 yards, and now it's 4th and 10. When you fall behind the sticks, and at the end of the day, too, it's the same thing with Zappe. They're not going to have as much trust in Mac and Zappe as they did with Brady, where they were just like, okay, you know what to do, Tom. If you don't like a play, change it. Where Mac's getting told, you need to run this play, you need to run this play, you need to run this play. And if you stray from that, Belichick's going to be like, what did I just fucking tell you to do? You're supposed to run these plays.
Yeah.
As a player, you're supposed to be entrusted into the coaches. I can't blame Mac, and only because look at what he did last year with Josh McDaniels. He had a great rookie season. They made the playoffs. They did a lot better than anybody thought they were going to. And a lot of people said he was the best quarterback out of that draft class, which could be still true, but it looks like, other players like Justin Fields are starting to kind of make a move. But I think next year, I don't know. I think if you get rid of Patricia, you get a true number, because they don't even have technically an offensive coordinator. It's Joe Judge, who was a former coach of the Giants who got fired, and Matt Patricia. And their two are together, but it seems like it's more Patricia now than Judge. Maybe try a week where Patricia's not the coach and somebody else is. And then if you have better results.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand where you're coming from on that. But you can't put all the blame on the coaching staff. Like, it's a mixture of everything, and part of that, a big part of that, is the fact that Mac needs to realize that when he's in those sort of situations, that he can't throw away the ball, or he can't,
Well, but like you said, though, he's not getting the time to throw the ball. He isn't getting the time, and I know a lot of people are calling for Zappe, and I am one of them. I will say that maybe we just need to change it up at quarterback, but that's going to hurt Mac's, confidence even more. So.
Well, it probably already hurt him when they changed it in that game against.
Against the Bears, right?
Yeah.
Well, from what I heard, they were kind of on a stop and go thing with Mac. Like, they were going to let him play the first half anyway because of his knee, and they didn't want to push him too much. So Bailey Zappi may have played second half regardless. But the fact that the game went the way that it went, and that's the other thing with the Pats too. There are losses that they've had this year that probably should have been wins, and granted, there are wins that should have been losses. And it's just how it goes, and they're still in the playoff race, don't get me wrong, but now you've got 5 games left. You've got the Cardinals that Monday night coming up next week. You've got the Raiders coming up. The Cardinals and Raiders are absolutely must-wins. If you lose either one of those games, forget about it.
Yeah.
Shut it down. And then you've got the Bengals, who are a playoff team. You've got the Dolphins, who are a playoff team. And the Bills, who are a playoff team. And you're expected to at least win probably, 3 out of the next 5 games, or 4 out of 5? Like, the Raiders and Cardinals, like I said, 100% have to be victories to at least get you back there. And then the Bengals game, who knows what's going to happen. The Bengals look like they finally righted the ship and are the team that they were last year. Your hope is that maybe Buffalo doesn't have anything to play for because they've already locked up the 1 seed, so maybe they rest people because they don't want to risk any injury going into the playoffs, and they give their starters 2 extra weeks to rest. Because you have to remember, though, the 1 seed in the AFC is the only seed that gets a bye week. The 2 seed has to play.
Yeah.
So if it comes down to, Chiefs and Bills are both tied, the Bills are going to play their guys because they want to get that bye week.
Yeah.
So,
no, I mean, that makes sense.
As opposed to another team in the New England region that's not really struggling, the 19-3 Boston Bruins.
Oh, my God.
Who are just a freight train from hell and are just stomping out teams left and right. Now, they've got 3 losses, and that's fine. And
you're not going to win them all.
No, of course not. But, I mean, obviously, I'm waiting for some point where people start to, get upset because, we've lost 2 in a row, or we've lost 3 in a row or something. It's going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
You can't be on this high forever. I do not expect us, I mean, at this point, can you win 30 games before you win 10? You might be able to. But, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're doing excellent right now, and their play has been fantastic.
Of course it is. It's been a whole team effort, and everybody's contributing, and that's been the team's problem for years. Is that secondary scoring? Marchand, Bergeron, and Pastrnak aren't scoring, and nobody else can can keep up. Like we're not getting secondary scoring.
Yeah.
We are this year. We're getting it in spades. It's unbelievable. And the defense is playing well. The goaltending's been as good as, you would hope it could be in the post Tuca era.
Yeah.
So
I mean, both Allmark and Swayman are fantastic goalies.
Yeah, of course they are. And it's good to have a 1-2 punch because if shit goes sour like it did in the playoffs last year, you've got that other goaltender you can trust in to go as a backup.
Yeah.
The last question I'm going to ask you before I wrap it up. So we obviously both know, and a lot of people know, this is an all-in season for the Bruins. They're putting all their chips there. They pushed all their chips in. Everything rides on this season. They're not worried about next year, 2 years down the road, whatever. This is the Stanley Cup year.
Yeah.
What do you think about potentially trying to acquire Patrick Kane?
Oh, yeah, we talked about this before. I mean, I like the idea.
I know his name is out there, and I know it's been floated out by the Spit and Chicklets podcast, the Barstool guys. Paul Bissonnette and Ryan Whitney, sorry. And Ryan Whitney did bring it up and said there's a possibility. Now, the problem you have is salary because he makes like 10 or 10.5 mil.
Yeah.
And the Bruins don't have a lot of cap. So any trade that they have would have to include somebody of salary.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen people put, like Chicago's a rebuilding team. So maybe you eat half of the contract and put him at like 4.5 or 5 or 5.5 mil, whatever it would be, and then have you'd have to trade away your first round pick, probably I would say probably an A level prospect for sure, A or B, probably an A level prospect, and then a couple roster players. And I know one of the trades that I saw out there, which I don't know how accurate or fair it would be, which was Craig Smith for the salary, because Craig Smith's kind of just in no man's land. I like Craig Smith, and he's a great top 9 or bottom 6 guy, third and fourth line. But there's just not any room for him this year, and it kind of just seems like that's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
And if you can turn Craig Smith somehow into Patrick Kane, you kind of do it.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, yeah.
I love Craig Smith. Don't get me wrong. He's been a great player for us the last couple of years, but I think his time's starting to run out, especially when you keep getting healthy scratched. And it's not fair to the player because if he's got time in him, he's just sitting there. He wants to play, and I understand that.
Yeah, so give him the opportunity to play in a failing Chicago team where it might be able to help them out.
Well, I mean, obviously you're not going to make the playoffs, but you're going to be looked at as one of the guys because you're playing on a team that doesn't have as many, high-end talented players.
Yeah.
So Craig Smith, Anton Strawman, which is another guy who's kind of like stuck because the Bruins' D-core isn't that bad.
Yeah.
So, and then, so those two guys for salary purposes, and then I think a prospect and a first-round pick, and then they would retain half of the salary, which I don't know if Chicago would go for. It may be multiple picks. It may be multiple prospects, and it depends on who the prospect is.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, though, I mean, if it can get them to the chance of winning the Stanley Cup this year, adding pieces won't hurt.
No, of course not, especially when it's an all-in season. And then if you think about, the top 9, I mean, if for Bruins fans out there, if you haven't seen it yet, your top 9, and this can all be interchanged, by the way, right now, could be with Patrick Kane. Let's put the perfection line back together, right? I keep saying Hall. Marchand, Bergeron, Pastrnak. That's your first line.
Yep.
Now your second line, Hall, Krejci, Kane. Your third line now becomes Coyle, DeBrusk, and Zacha. And that can be changed out. You can move DeBrusk to the first line and let him play with Bergie and Marshy. You can move Kane to the first line. You can move Hall to the third line. So now you've got, Marchand and Bergeron on the first line. You've got Kane and, Pastrnak on the second line. Now you've got Hall on the third line. You can't have your number 1 and number 2 defense pairs out there the entire game. Somebody good is going to be out there.
And on top of that, you're not losing either way because you always have somebody that's skilled.
Right. And then you've got, your fourth line would be Nosek, Foligno, Frederick's in there, AJ Greer's in there. So you got a bunch of gritty guys who, and Foligno's had a resurgence from last year. I don't know what happened between last year and this year. This was the Nick Foligno the Bruins paid all that money to.
Yeah, he's been doing fantastic.
Right, and I mean the other thing too would be is injuries would happen. So I'm not as keen on the Kane. That would be the only negative side for me for the Kane trade, is that if he comes in, you lose pieces, and that doesn't help because if somebody gets hurt in the playoffs, which it's bound to happen. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
It's a 2-month grind to win the championship. It's why it's so hard to win. You can put in a Craig Smith who has playoff experience. You can put in an Anton Strawman who has playoff experience. Not
Yeah.
to mention, too, with this team, with that top 9, your top 4 for defense. Carlo, Grizzlick, McAvoy, Lindholm. Lindholm's playing like a Norris Trophy candidate this year.
Oh, I know, yeah. We made out on that trade.
You've got a Norris Trophy candidate on your team who is not named Charlie McAvoy. What? Like, this was the defenseman we were looking for after we lost Krug.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got the best tandem in the league, which, by the way, I don't think they've done it. And I know there's a way to do it, and they should. EA needs to add in the goalie hug for specifically the Bruins only at the end of the game. But it has to be Ullmark and Swayman as a team. It can't be any other goalie tandem.
You gotta have it like that.
If you have Ullmark and Swayman on a team, at the end of the game, you should see them celebrating, and they should do... That would be awesome. I know you can do it, EA. Come on.
Yeah.
Throw me a freaking bone here.
They could totally do that.
I have to deal with your shitty product based on the fact that there's no other NHL game out there that I can play with the licensing and rights that you guys have.
Mm-hmm.
The more I keep playing that game, by the way, the more and more I want to keep telling you, like, just don't buy it.
Just
the only
super
reason
jank.
you would buy it is just for us to play when we're here at the house.
Yeah.
At your house. So
Super jank.
it's just... Dude, it's just so bad. Like, I have seen people on, like, YouTube play, like, Be a Pro and stuff. And I don't know if it's all teams, but they'll have, like, 2 forecheckers, and then 3 people are playing a neutral zone trap when the team's down by, like, a goal or 2. Why do you have 3 people playing at center ice or whatever, or 2 people at center ice and 1 person in your own zone, when then you've got 2 forecheckers against 5 skaters? They always have somebody in front of the goalie, so cross-crease passes are hard. The only way you get a cross-crease pass in that game is if you have a legitimate 2-on-1.
Oh, wow.
Outside of that, it is impossible to score a one-timer goal. Impossible.
Jeez.
Because they always just funnel towards the front of the net. There's always like 3 or 4 people blocking, and I don't know if that's how like the preset strategies are. It's awful. It is awful.
Could be the preset strategies.
All fucking full. It's terrible.
Oh,
the only reason I deal with that game is because it's a hockey game and there's nothing else.
Yeah.
If 2K had a game out, I would 100% get 2K's game.
Go back to NHL 22.
It's not any different. It's the same garbage. They don't have any competition. That's the problem. It's the same issue with Madden. They don't have to worry about competition, and all they worry about is fucking microtransactions.
Yes. Yeah. That's the one thing about the games is that they, same thing with like any of the Call of Duty games. They don't really have any competition.
Have some pride in your product, my guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I got you.
On that little space rant, I'm going to sign us off for this week.
All right, you go ahead, birthday boy.
So, of course, as always, this is the Wicked Case podcast, streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn,
Deezer,
and wherever else. You can get all major podcasts as well as YouTube. All episodes come out at noon on Sundays, unless there's a special episode, which we will let you know ahead of time when that is coming out.
Most likely we'll have something like along the lines of a Christmas episode.
Right. Before I read out the phone number, we didn't get any call from Megan, did we?
We did not get a call from Megan. No.
Megan, if you're out there, I got a lot of love to give.
And when I say a lot, or when he says a lot, he means a lot.
What is that supposed to imply?
You're just bundled full of love.
I am. It's getting cold this winter, and I got a lot of love saved up to keep people warm. You don't need it. You don't need a heated blanket or a heavy blanket or whatever. You just
need the Rev Kev.
Right. And if you want that in your life, 774-764-9074. Ask for the Rev specifically.
Yeah, I'll relay the message. I promise.
Sure you will. Email at thewickedks@gmail.com. Website www.thewickedks.com. I like long walks on the beach, playing video games, sitting around a cozy fire, Netflix and chilling, or Disney Plusin', whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Socials, Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter at The Wicked KS. And, of course, $3 a month, folks. Patreon.com/Wicked Ks. You can see Kyle try to ingest an 18-inch corn dog from when we went to the Big E. There's going to be, we'll put up a one-chip challenge video of him, a one-chip challenge video of me suffering and struggling to try to deal with a bunch of chemicals in our mouth. And there's a bunch of other stuff, too. I mean, obviously, you get the perk of being the very first one.
Yeah.
And we would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
And as always, shout out to everybody who listens to us, in the States and around the world.
Yeah.
Germany,
Last week it
Brazil.
was Germany, Finland, Brazil. There was one other one. I think it was Norway.
Norway. There's China out there. Russia's listened to us. England, the UK. Sorry, not in the UK. England, Ireland. I don't have the list in front of me like I normally do, so.
It's okay.
You know who you are. Luxembourg. Australia, Virginia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island.
Some
all
of the states, yeah.
Brazil, all of it. By the way, also before we sign off, shout out if your team is still in the World Cup. I think now that the United States has finally toasted with their 3-1 loss to the Netherlands, which they played okay. They probably could have and should have won that game. They just didn't capitalize, and that's something that's been plaguing the men's team for years. I'm probably going to, by default, root for England.
Oh, okay.
But I think whoever's on the top half where the United States is has a better chance of getting to the finals, because I'm pretty sure if I saw the bottom half, if all the teams make it through, the bottom four bracket looks like it'd be like England versus France in the round of 8, and then it would be like, I think it's Brazil and not Brazil and Belgium, Brazil and Portugal, Portugal and Spain.
Oh,
so you got Portugal, Spain, England, and France in the bottom half bracket. Like, I'm like, holy shit!
Good lord!
So the top half bracket, it pretty much is Brazil's to just kind of cruise through if they have any chance, if they have a chance to. So
yeah, I guess I'll root for them too.
The English.
Yeah, English. Yeah.
So shout out to them. And until next time, thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Tell your friends. And as always, peace and love.
Let's get wicked.